Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro calls on the Bolivarian National Armed Forces to be on the alert to the new terrorist plans engineered from the Colombian territory. The European Council brought together the 27 energy ministers of the bloc member countries and agreed to reduce the gas consumption in the event of a possible interruption of the supply from Russia. A 7.2 magnitude earthquake hits the Philippines, causing damage to various infrastructures and leaving about 5 casualties. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro calls on the Bolivarian National Armed Forces to be on the alert to the new terrorist plans engineered from the Colombian territory. During an act on the occasion of the transfer of command of the Bolivarian Armed Forces and the Bolivarian Military Aviation, the Venezuelan president pointed out that terrorist sectors from Bogotá are threatening the country with destabilization attempts. The president called on the commanders of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces to remain alert to guarantee the peace of the republic. Maduro also emphasized that he is confident that the Venezuelan Armed Forces will know how to neutralize these destabilization attempts.
Be on the alert, always on the alert, to protect the peace of the Republic. Terrorist threats, last-minute terrorist threats, are heard from Bogotá against our beloved homeland. Be on the alert, Bolivarian National Armed Force. They conspired with terrorists and traitors born in Venezuela to harm the homeland. But no crime is perfect, and we will know how to neutralize, defeat, and pursue the criminals and terrorists who conspire against peace and stability in Venezuela. On the alert.
Popular organizations and the Panamanian government begin the single roundtable discussions to lower and freeze the fuel prices at $3 per gallon. The proposal of the social sectors is that if the cost of fuel goes up in the price at international level, the agreed price will be maintained, and if the price goes down, it must be immediately transferred to the population. In order to be a beneficiary, no requirements or conclusions will be applied. The financial measures that support the proposals on the part of the social sectors is the reduction of the profit margins of the fuel importing, distributing and commercializing oligopoles. The executive is supposed to analyze the proposal and present a counter-proposal. On Tuesday, the Dominican Medical Association and the National Association of Private Clinics and Hospitals marched peacefully to demand improvements to the health system. Health sector organizations have scheduled activities for Tuesday night in which candles will be lit in the hospitals of the capital city of the country. They are sure that the marches on strike will continue in the hospitals so that on Wednesday a mobilization is expected to take place in Santo Domingo. The medical union denounced the lack of supplies in the hospitals to attend the patients. The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, proposed to hold a referendum to find out whether or not the people want to replace Queen Elizabeth II as the head of state. During a meeting with the Parliament, Premier Gonsalves indicated that he will only take the step if there is support from the opposition party and call on them to know if they are ready for the referendum. Gonsalves assured that if there is a bipartisan support for the referendum, a committee will be also created to establish a body to carry out a decolonization process in the names of several locations in the United Kingdom. In El Salvador, family members of those detained by police and military forces denounced the arbitrary detentions of the relatives in the framework of the state of exception imposed by the government to fight criminal gangs. Family members gathered once again and marched through the streets of the country's capital to reach the Attorney General's office for the defense of human rights. Demonstrators then moved to the Salvadoran Congress to deliver letters and the documents of the people that, in their opinion, were unjustly arrested. Family members called for the relatives' freedom, as there are no reasons that justify their detention. On its part, the Salvadoran government affirms that those arrested are gang members or people that collaborated with these criminal groups.
Well, they came into my house and they took my brother on June 30. So the reason that they told him is because he has a lot of tattoos. That's all they say. We're going to take you to the police station, we're going to check your tattoos, and if you don't have anything to do with gangs, we're going to let you go, which they didn't.
Family members gathered in front of the Salvadoran Congress defended the innocence of the relatives detained and presented their arguments proving their claims.
We request a review of the cases of innocent people arbitrarily detained because they are parents, brothers, cousins, nephews, friends, etc., who in many cases are the breadwinners of their families, and it is not fair that they are being held in jail for crimes for which there is no real evidence or proof. Only phone calls from ill-intentioned individuals who for various reasons seek to damage their reputation.
I come because my son lived in a canton with his wife. Here is his wife. They have a child and they have left him without their parents. My son has his trip pending for June 24 and they have taken him away on June 11. They have taken him and the girl. He's here in Mariona and she is in Pantego. He had his American visa. They had sent him to go to work for 8 months. I was a victim of the gangs. They wanted to kill me, marking my face forever. And now with this pain that my brothers has been captured, they are unjustly detained because they do not belong to anything. They are working boys, and what hurts me the most is that I have been a victim, and now my brothers are locked up in a place where they can even be with the ones who did this damage to my face for not paying rent.
Other topics. As part of her tour of South America, the Vice President-elect of Colombia, Francia Márquez, arrived to Brazil, where she held a meeting with the former President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva. From the headquarters of the Perseu Abramo Foundation of the Workers' Party in the city of Sao Paulo, Marquez held a meeting with the former president and the current candidate for the presidency of Brazil, Lula da Silva, as well as other representatives of the political party. During the day, Francia Márquez also debated with different collectives and social movements focused on women's rights, against hunger and structural racism. The vice president-elect of Colombia will go to the city of Rio de Janeiro tomorrow and then continue her tour to Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. The Community of American and Caribbean States, CELAC, convened in Argentina the International Colloquium 200 years after the meeting of Guayaquil, Legacies and Challenges in the Construction of Latin American Unity. CELAC, in coordination with the Argentinian Foreign Ministry, opened this space for the lecture on the contribution of this historical event to the libertarian struggle of the continent. The event was attended by the Argentina's Foreign Minister, Santiago Cafiero, who highlighted the ethical and integrated vision of San Martin and the role of Bolívar. July 26 marked 70 years since the death of Argentina's former First Lady, Eva Perón, known by many as just Evita. She died in 1952, but her memory is still present in modern Argentina's politics. Eva Perón was a charismatic figure who is remembered remembered for being the champion of women's rights and the poor. She was a radio host and a screen actress before her marriage to Juan Domingo Perón in 1945. Eva became a powerful political influence and a mainstay for the Perón government. Evita defended the causes of the poor people and labor unions and was credited with giving crucial support to the push for women's suffrage. Evita Perón died in 1952 from cervical cancer. The European Council brought together the 27 energy ministers of the bloc's member countries and agreed to reduce the gas consumption in the event of a possible interruption in the supply from Russia. According to the Council, the agreement seeks a voluntary reduction by the states of 15% with the implementation of measures of their choice. The initiative will begin on Monday, August 1st through March 31st, 2023. It has included exceptions demanded by some states, which state that the cut should be homogeneous, without taking into account the particularities of each territory. In the state or the event of a serious risk of hardship, a mechanism will make this reduction mandatory, but the objective will be adapted to the realities of each country through a series of exemptions. And the gas prices in Europe exceeded $2,000 per 1,000 cubic meters, which represents an increase of 7%, not seen since March 9th. According to the statistics data of the London Stock Exchange, the IZE, the quotations of hydrocarbon accelerated, reaching a maximum quotation of $2,000.3 per 1,000 cubic meters on Tuesday. This behavior in the stock market comes the day after the Russian state company Gazprom announced that it will stop the operation of another Siemens turbine at the Portovaya compression station of the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline. The daily capacity of its gas compression station will be a maximum of 33 million cubic meters, compared to 67 million cubic meters, a situation that could maintain the exponential increase in the cost of gas for Europe. Now we address other topics. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in Ethiopia on Tuesday as part of his African tour to strengthen trade integration. The Russian diplomat stressed the importance of the relations with the African continent, which predate even the current conflict generated by the Western countries. As part of the results of this tour are the commercial alliances aimed at securing the development of trade. Ethiopia is the fifth stop in a tour that has so far included countries such as Egypt, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Uganda. Tunisia approved President Kais Saied's constitutional reform bill. Only 27.54% of over 9 million Tunisian voters turned out to vote. The opposition, formed by the political majority, called for a boycott. According to the polls, 92.3% of the votes are in favor of the constitutional draft, which will replace the current 2014 constitution and which will give almost all the power to the president. The constitutional draft has generated controversy and criticism from tourists and the jurists for introducing a presidentialist system without guarantees for the separation of powers, and for the drafting process, since it was drafted behind closed doors in less than a month. In addition, the country voted in a state of emergency and with a dissolved parliament, when it has been a year on Monday since Saied took full powers. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, at least 3 UN employees and 7 demonstrators were killed during riots in the northeastern town of Goma on Monday. The riots occur in the context of violent demonstrations at the headquarters of the United Nations mission MONUSCO, following the speeches of the president of the Congolese Senate, Modeste Behari, who described the mission as incapable of imposing peace in the east of the country. According to preliminary data, among the UN workers who lost their lives, there are 2 of Indian nationality and 1 from Morocco. Dozens of wounded were also reported. MONUSCO, for its part, expressed its condemnation of the acts of violence and recalled that its installations are inviolable by virtue of the status of forces agreement between nations and the government of the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
What has just happened here, a peacekeeper has killed one person at their base, and he has injured another. We don't want them here anymore. Let them go to their homes. More than 20 years of MONUSCO in Congo. There is no peace in North Kivu, no peace in the east. How to explain that the M23 rebel group can have more powerful weapons than MONUSCO? Today we are demonstrating for MONUSCO to leave immediately. As it did not want to leave yesterday, today we want MONUSCO to leave and give us our Congo back.
And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. On Wednesday, a magnitude 7.2 earthquake shook the northwestern portion of the island of Luzon in the Philippines. According to preliminary data, the earthquake left a preliminary toll of 5 casualties and caused damage to several infrastructures. The European Mediterranean Seismological Center said the earthquake occurred at shallow depths, approximately 10 kilometers, while the United States Geological Survey reported that no tsunami warning was warranted. The quake was also felt in Manila, where several buildings were evacuated. The city's metro rail systems were halted at a rush hour. The Philippines is prone to natural disasters and is located on the seismically active Pacific Ring of Fire, a band of volcanoes and the fault lines that arcs around the edge of the Pacific Ocean. And the shallow but powerful quake struck the mountainous and lightly populated province of Abra on the main island of Luzon at 8:43 a.m. local time. Shallow earthquakes tend to cause more damage than deeper ones. In Dolores, which felt the full force of the quake, Police Major Edwin Sergio said that terrified people ran outside their buildings and windows of the local market were shattered. Police Chief Major Nazareno Emia added that a number of people were injured in Baghdad and taken to a hospital for treatment. Heavy rains in India caused flooding in the city of Jodhpur in the northwest of the country. Local media reports on Tuesday stated that as a result of the floods triggered by heavy rains in Rajasthan after the city of Jodhpur was lashed by heavy monsoon rains. In view of the prevailing situation, the Meteorological Department of India said that the worst affected areas were the low-lying localities where rainwater flooded the streets. At the same time, it issued an orange alert for continued widespread rainfall in several parts of the state. Firefighters continue to make progress against a huge California forest fire that forced evacuations and destroyed 41 homes and other buildings near Yosemite National Park. Crews battling the oak fire in Mariposa County got a break from increased humidity levels as monsoonal moisture moved through the Sierra Nevada foothills, said a Tuesday morning report by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. About 6,000 residents from mountain communities were still under evacuation orders, while heavy smoke from the fire drifted over 200 miles, reaching Lake Tahoe, parts of Nevada, and the San Francisco Bay Area, officials said. Numerous roads were closed, including a stretch of the State Route 140. That's one of the main routes into Yosemite. Firefighters from several countries joined forces to battle a fire in the national park in the northern Czech Republic that has spread to the state of Saxony in neighboring Germany. The fire in the Bohemian Switzerland park broke out on Sunday and was mostly contained before windy weather caused it to spread again on Monday afternoon and overnight. Despite their efforts, firefighters said the fire has spread from 30 hectares earlier on Tuesday to 1,000 hectares. No injuries were reported, but around 100 people had to be evacuated Tuesday evening from the sacked town of Vyškova Lipa. Poland and Slovakia said they were sending helicopters, while Italy offered planes designed for firefighting. The German military announced it will send 4 helicopters to the border region to help fight the flames. And TeleSUR continues to grow. Its signal now reaches Europe. You can order it from your cable dealer or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on the screen are in place since July 1st. Quite soon, further changes will be implemented for the signals in the Middle East and Africa. Now, more than ever, the world connects to us and our stories are heard in other farther away nations. This new multi-platform will continue providing truthful content to oppose the hegemonic media's narrative and our faithfulness to the audience. So we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.